Hi, this is Nick Sestito from BluePrint Automation. We're going to demonstrate how to change over a CubeMaster 200. So I'm on the control screen right now, and I have the machines ready, or the safety is enabled. And I'm going to go to main menu. And here's where your changeover button is going to be. You need to press an E-stop to get the visibility of that changeover button. So now safety is not enabled, control current's off, and I get my changeover button. So I'm going to change over to product number 5. So I'm going to move down to product number 5 and hit enter. And then all the information about product number 5 populates up here, and I want to load product code. And then when you confirm that it's number 5 that you want to change over to, you hit yes. And then first step is to reset safety back by pushing reset. Okay, so there was a quick message there saying that the machine was moving to the service position, and it happens pretty quickly, and now we're ready to lock out the machine. And then you get your next step push button. Okay, so the first step is you want to move the gap plate all the way down, and then after that we're going to pull the cassette wall all the way out. And a few pictures showing where you're going to do that. We're going to turn these two handles, and then again we're going to loosen up that handle, pull it out, and loosen up these two handles and let it drop down a little bit. And when I'm done with that, I'm going to push confirm, and then I'll get a next step push button. So right in front of us here on the adjustment side of the machine, I'm going to open up this door and loosen up this gap plate and let it drop all the way down. Okay. And then the second step was to open up the cassette wall. I'm going to loosen up that handle. Just going to open it up all the way, and that's it. So I've done those steps. I'm going to push that button. I'm confirmed, and I go to the next step. Next I want to remove bottom loading door and then install this pusher plate, 2411-125. So first I'm going to go and remove this bottom loading door. So I'm going to open up this door, and I'm going to stand right in here. Rob, you might want to stand over here. And I'm removing this piece right here. There's just 2 hand screws. I'm just going to loosen those up and remove it. In some instances, this might be a little bit lower, and you just have to loosen these up quite a bit, and then you can get this out. But that's all that step's telling me to do, is remove that. And I'm just going to place it in the storage on this rack. Next step was to install the pusher plate, 2411-125. I'm going to find it. It's right here. There's a change part tag showing it. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to put it aside for a second. And I'm going to remove the old pusher plate. And the easiest way to do that is to just reach in here into the cassette, pull it out a little bit. And then you're going to see a toggle clamp right here. I'm going to reach under it, and there's a release on the back of that handle. And I'm going to pull it open just pretty gently. And now that's released the clamp. And then you're going to see there's a hook on the back of this plate right here, and we're just going to try and get the clamp out of that hook. So when you do that, this plate's free. Make sure you don't drop it, and it should slide out real easy. All right, and then I'm just going to repeat the process to install the new one. But when I install this new one, I might interfere with this bottom flap fixture right here. So I'm going to install it behind that fixture, if this were in the way, and then I'm just going to clamp it back on. You can give it a pull test and you should hear a good snap when it's in place. Then I'm going to push that loading ram back into its far position. So I've done those 2 steps. I confirm it, and next step is I need to install the lift plate 367-041. I'm going to find that here. There it is. And a quick note, if I'm changing over to a recipe or a product code that uses the same lift plate that is already installed in the machine, you're going to get a green blinking banner, and it's going to tell you that this is the same lift plate that's already installed. So you won't have to do anything there, but we don't get that banner, and we're going to need to install this new lift plate. All right, so I'm going to put this aside for a second, and I'm going to remove the old lift plate. And you can do that by pulling down this spring pin. I'm going to pull that down, and when I do pull it down, I'm going to try and pull that lift plate away from it. So you can either come in from this side and push down on the pin, or you can pull this down and maybe have someone pull the plate away as I'm pulling this down. All right, so I'm pulling down on that spring, I'm going to push away, and that's free now. I'm going to go on the other side and just get it out. And then you just repeat the process to get it in. I'm going to push down on that spring pin, and I'm going to push the plate in. You might need to kind of find the right spot for it and work it in a little bit. There it goes. That went in easy. So I've done that step, but now I want to install the bottom loading door 367043. That's 367043, and I'm just going to repeat the process from when I removed it. These 2 slots in here are going to go in between this plate, these 2 plates. And what I want to do is slide it all the way in and reference it against the end of the slot. So I'm kind of making sure I'm keeping a little bit of pressure, so I'm all the way at the end of the slot, and I'm tightening up these 2 hand screws. If you tighten it up and we're a little bit out, you do not want that, because you might start to scrape against your lift plate or interfere with your lift plate. So I'm all the way in, and I'm tightening them up. Just hand tight. Okay. So I finished those 2 steps. Okay, next up, this one takes a little bit of reading, but the first step is going to be collapse the bag stop in the upper cassette of the packer. And once I collapse it, I'm going to be able to move in this sidewall that we pulled out previously. After I've moved it in, then I'm going to re-expand that bagger plate, that bag stop plate, to match where I set the sidewall. So first thing is I'm going to collapse this sidewall, and you do that with a 3/4 wrench or a 19 millimeter. So just right here, just going to loosen up a little bit, and it's loose, and I just want to collapse it. That's it. And then next, I'm going to adjust this sidewall. I think it said 280. So I'm pushing it in. I'm reading my scale right here, 280. There's your indicator, and there's your unit. And I'm going to tighten that down hand tight. And then now that I've done that, like the HMI describes, now I've changed the position of this wall that I'm grabbing right here. And I'm going to re-expand this bag stop. Might need to loosen it up a little bit more. I'm going to re-expand that bag stop to be about a 1/4 inch, maybe 5 millimeters, or a finger's width away from this wall. I'm gonna tighten that back down. There we go. And Robbie, right over here. Once you've set this position, if you want to stand right there, Robbie. Once you've set this position of this sidewall, you're gonna want to do a quick double check. And what you can do is grab that loading ram and pull it towards you. And what you're looking for is, and you want me to take the camera, Robbie? And what you're looking for is about a 1/4 inch gap or a finger's width all the way through. And you want to make sure that the side of your lift plate does not interfere with the wall right here at all, because that lift plate's going to push out all the way past these sidewalls. So you want to make sure you're not scraping at all over here. If it looks like you're going to, go back to that adjustment and bring it out just a 1/4 inch at a time until you're clear on the side of that lift plate. And the first thing we did was drop down that gap plate, so now we're going to set it to 487. That's in here again. We're going to push that pusher plate back to where we had it. And 487, we have our scale right here, and there's our indicator. Bring it up to 487. It's about here. And you can make it a little tighter if you want, but you're looking for about a finger gap in between the top of this transparent plate, this Lexan plate, and the bottom surface of your pusher plate. So that's a non-critical adjustment, but you're just looking for a little bit of a gap there. That way when the lift plate goes below its loading position, kind of like it is right here, you're just making sure that bags do not fall through this gap. So if I had this plate all the way down, bags can kind of fall back, and they might have a poor pack when the lift plate, or I'm sorry, the loading ram comes to push them into a case. So you're just kind of tightening up the gap right here. Okay, next you're going to need a 9/16 wrench. We're going to adjust the non-automatic side of these flap spreaders. So you're going to see that you want to use a wrench. The other side, this right side, if I'm looking right into the cassette, is an Allen head, hex head key. You're not going to adjust this right side. This right side automatically adjusts. This left side is what you're going to want to do. You're going to take a 9/16 wrench and find 487 on the scale. So again, this is the non-automatic side, not this side. I'm adjusting this to 487. Just loosen up a little bit. And I'll see 40, 48, 47 right on your indicator. And it's pretty non-critical. There you go. And this side will adjust automatically later on when we return control current. Okay, so now we're going to adjust the product infeed and the case handling here. Adjustment number 1 is going to be 35. Adjustment number 2 is going to be 13. And that's the empty case indexer over here. So we'll see adjustment number 1 was 35. We're right about there, but 35 on our scale, hand tight. And number 2 here is this angular adjustment, and that was 13. So I'm going to loosen up these 2 handles, and this should slide pretty easy. And I'm going to find 13 right there. And that's it. And you might need to kind of fine adjust this later on when you start seeing cases come through. Next is number 3. That's the empty case reference adjustment, and that's going to be 49. So right down here, number 3, these 2 handles, I'm going to find 49. And I'm moving this case reference right here. All right, so 49, right about there. And again, you might need to kind of fine tune this. When you start seeing cases move through, you might move it a millimeter or 2 in the opposite direction. Okay, so this one's a little tricky. So I'm gonna set an empty case against this hard stop on the right. I'm gonna set an empty case up against that. Then I want to extend this tipper clamp and loosen up the 2 bolts that are placing it where it is from side to side. So I'm gonna use a 3/4 wrench or a 19 millimeter, loosen up these 2 bolts, extend my clamp, and then just touch that case and then tighten down that clamp, and I'll demonstrate it here. Okay, so I'm changing over to this case. And this is my old case. So you'll kind of see if I extend out this cylinder, you'll kind of see that fits with a little bit of friction, which is what you want with this cylinder all the way extended. So I want to kind of do the same thing with that longer case. So I'm going to bring it back, and these 2 bolts, I'm going to loosen them up. Okay. And this new case here is a lot longer, so I'm going to have to bring this cylinder quite a ways back. Okay, and if you need to, you might need to pull this tubing a little bit for the extra slack you get through this this grommet, this hole right here. But anyway, I pull that back quite a bit, and then you're going to take your new case, reference it up against this plate. I'm going to come over here and then extend my cylinder all the way. And I'm going to adjust this cylinder to where I'm just kind of touching with a little bit of friction against this case. A little more is okay. And then I want to tighten down these two bolt heads. This might take you 1 or 2 tries. And you want to make sure that this plate is square against the box. You don't want it at an angle either way. That'll kind of crush your box and make it a little bit trapezoidal. And you can check that you get that little bit of sliding fit, a little bit of friction with my cylinder all the way extended. So that should be pretty good. And then next is the number 4 adjustment, which is a lot like the 3rd adjustment we did, except for the full case reference side. So I'm going to walk around there. Robbie, if you want to film right there. And I'm going to adjust that to 30 on the scale. So I'm right in here. And then I got my number 4 marker. I'm just going to loosen these 2 up just like we did. All right, and then I'm going to go to my value, and I forget what it is, but that'll get you close in the ballpark. But the best thing you want to do here is you're going to want two cases that you're changing over to. Okay, this is the old case, and this is my new case. And a good way to do that, sorry, 30, oh, it's 30. Okay, so I go to 30, pretty close to it. And what I want to do is, you're going to see this pop-up reference. It's on a cylinder. I'm just going to reach in there and pull it up. So that pop-up reference is here. I'm going to take my case. I'm going to reference it right up against that reference. And then I'm going to drop that reference down. So I take my case. I'm still kind of holding this pop-up up. And I reference against it. And I try and leave that case right up against it. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm not going to budge it. I'm going to drop that pop-up down. It's down right now. There we go. And then I'm going to take another case. You mind handing me that case, Robbie? Okay. So I haven't moved this case. And then I'm going to take this new case, reference it against this adjustable hard stop. And I'm looking for no gap. I'm looking to be just up against this case. Okay, so now I have about 1.5 inches of gap. I wanna adjust this so there's no gap. So I'm gonna loosen these handles, and I haven't touched this case, but I'm gonna move this reference to where I close that gap. And that's where you wanna be, because we're gonna be doing a full case reference when we can. And we're gonna avoid using that pop-up as much as we can. The machine will do that. So again, I'm gonna loosen up these two handles, and I'm gonna slide towards the case until I just start to touch it. I bumped it a little bit and move it back a hair, and then that's where you want to be. I'm gonna tighten these right here, and now that I'm tight, my full case reference is positioned so that with the case here, it's gonna be doing the same job as this pop-up reference. So now the positioning of this is going to be exactly with this pop-up up. It's going to be exactly your case width right there. So that's how you set that up. And your value is going to get you pretty close in the ballpark, but I moved a few more millimeters, and that can kind of work with case variance as well. Okay. Okay, so next is the full case incline. And as I said before, you'll get a banner if one adjustment is the same as the previous recipe. So right here, I get same position or part as previous recipe. So anyways, number 5, which is on our full case incline, will be 30, but that should be about the same. And number 6 will be 15. So I'm gonna go over there. Rob, you can film from the same spot. Okay, so over here I'm the same on number 5, and on adjustment number 6, we'll be at 15, and you just loosen up and there's your adjustment. I'll find 15 right there. I tighten it down, and there you go. Okay, so I've done both of those. Okay, next is the product in feed, 7 and 8. These are both going to be the same. They're going to be 5 and 9. But you're just going to find that over here. 7 and 8 and 5 and 9 are your adjustments. But those are the same. We won't touch those. We're done. Again, they get the same banner. Okay, and again, the same banner. The same position as the previous, 9 and 10, but we'll show. Adjustment number 9 will be at 15, and 10 will be at 2.8. So I come over here, I'm gonna open up this door, and there's gonna be 4 adjustments. So right in here is number 9, and it was at 15, I think it was, or 14, I can't quite remember, but anyways, this is where you're gonna make that adjustment. 1, 2, 3, and 4, you're gonna match the value. This one was a little loose. But anyway, you're gonna match the value on the screen and tighten down these 4 adjustments. Those are all number 9, and you've got the engraved scale right here. And then number 10 will also be 4 adjustments. It was 2.8. Here's number 10. I'm gonna find 2.8 on that scale. and I'll loosen these 4 up, 1, 2, and 3 and 4 on the other side. I'll loosen them up, I'll raise and lower the height of that pan to whatever the screen tells me to, and they're already at about 2.8. So we're done there. Okay, and now we need to shut the doors. We're gonna get a message right here asking us to shut the doors to continue. Okay, so you will get a message saying that. Right now it's not in there. But anyway, I'm gonna reset to complete the changeover. And with the new recipe in the machine, it's gonna automatically adjust. If you come over here, our lift plate is at its new loading position. And you're gonna see the automatic adjustment side of the bottom flap spreader is searching for that lift plate. So it's lowering slowly. It's gonna go past that position and then maybe about an inch, and then it's gonna climb back up and find that lift plate. So that'll take a few more seconds. So we're below the loading position, and then we change direction. We're coming up, we're gonna find it, close our doors, and then go up for the lift plate to be ready to receive bags. So that's a changeover on the CubeMaster 200. We're gonna go over and do a quick changeover on the compactor closer. All right, so we're gonna change over the compactor closer. It's a really quick process. I'm on the control screen. I'm gonna go home, and here's my changeover. And again, like the Packer, I need to press an e-stop or remove the safety control current to start. And then I get my start changeover button. The changeover is active, reset safety, and you're gonna see the closer home and move to changeover position. So I reset, we're gonna see the closer's height. It's gonna home, it's gonna rehome to the top procs. And it's home now. It's gonna wait for a new product selection to go to. Press an e-stop. Okay, and you're gonna get a message down here that we're currently on recipe number 3. So I cannot select a blank code or the current recipe. We're gonna change over to recipe number 5. Okay, I'm on 5, and I'm gonna select code. Okay, first step is to open the compactor door and remove the plates. This is a very important step. If you do not do that, you might close the compactor plates on each other, and you can burn a fuse, you can cause a fault. So make sure you do this step. You do not get your next button. I cannot continue until I go over there and open the compactor doors and remove the plates. So I go over. I have to open this door, and I want to remove these 2 plates. And again, the reason for that is if I did not remove these plates and I went to a shorter case, then these 2 plates will automatically adjust, and these 2 plates might interfere with each other, and you might blow the fuse that's operating this this actuator. Okay, so I removed those plates. I'm gonna set them aside. And to close the doors. And then now I get my next button. Okay, so it's asking me to reset safety, the reset button in the bottom left corner. And you're gonna see the height of the closer move to its new recipe position, and as well as the length. It's gonna widen up to the new position. Same with the width in the compactor, it'll widen up and automatically adjust to the new dimensions of the product, of the new product code. Okay, so we're done adjusting, and now the screen's telling me to install the plates 460 260-LH. So you're gonna have change part tags here, but this is the plate we're changing over to. It'll say 460 260-LH when we get those tags on. I'm gonna install them, and you'll notice that we automatically adjusted to fit these plates. But if we were changing over to the old product code and we didn't remove these plates, we would have automatically adjusted and we would have interfered right here and faulted the machine or burned a fuse. So these are the plates we need. And I can store the old ones in these fixtures. And I'm gonna close the door. Okay, so I'm done with that. Next step, changeover complete. And we can reset the machine. And we're ready to run.